Hello, William.
Hello, Meriwether.
How are you doing?
Pretty good. How are you?
Good. Hello, my name is Meriwether Lewis. I was born on August 18th, 1774 in Ivy, Virginia. When I was a kid, I loved the outdoors. I wanted everything to do with them. I even studied it in school, which helped me because I joined the militia when I was older and the army. Later in life, Thomas Jefferson appointed me and my best friend William Clark to be captains of the journey across the Louisiana Purchase. But my best honor was serving with my best friend, William Clark.
Yeah. Let's go. Hello, I'm William Clark. I was born on August 1st, 1770 in Ladysmith, Virginia.
Okay. In 1803, Thomas Jefferson bought the Louisiana Purchase from France. He acquired me and my best friend, Second Lieutenant Clark, a group of 45 U.S. Army and civilian volunteers, and Clark's African-American slave York. Some of Thomas Jefferson's main goals were to explore the newly purchased territory and to find a practical route across the western half of the continent, and to establish an American claim on the territory before England and other European countries tried to claim it. The expedition's secondary objectives were economic and scientific, to study plant and animal lives, geography, and trade with local Native American tribes. The expedition of Lewis and Clark had a lasting effect on the United States and established mostly friendly relationships between government and dozens of native tribes. They claimed the Oregon Territory, stretching the United States from coast to coast, and they charted and mapped the huge Louisiana Territory. And traders and settlers immediately began pushing westward into the territory, seeking adventure and opportunity that would define the United States.
One of Jefferson's main goals was to find the most direct and practicable water communication across the continent. He also placed special importance on gaining claim of the Missouri River. 2 years into his presidency, Jefferson asked Congress to fund the Corps Discovery mission. Congress appropriated $2,324 for supplies and food. Lewis and his crew set out that afternoon, traveling down the Ohio River to meet up with Clark near Louisville, Kentucky in October at the Falls of Ohio. The U.S. Mint prepared special silver medals with a portrait of Jefferson inscribed with a message of friendship and peace, called the Indian Peace Medals. They were told to distribute them to the tribes they met. The expedition was also prepared advanced weapons to display their military firepower. Among these was an Austrian-made 46 caliber Garande air rifle, a repeating air rifle with a 20-pound tubular magazine that was powerful enough to kill a deer.
Oh, wait. Look.
What?
It's really important. I need to go get it.
Ooh, where you going?
1 second.
I don't know. Ooh, chill, bro. Chill!
Was this anything like the gun they used? Or no? Because, I mean, the guns back then were pretty old, but this is pretty modern, so this is an airsoft gun. But do you think that maybe this could have done the same damage that the other guns could have? Tell me, Clark.
No.
No?
No.
Okay.
Well, I guess we could check it out right now. Let's see.
Let's see. Where's my brother?
The expedition was prepared with flintlock firearms, knives, blacksmithing supplies, and choreography equipment. They also carried flags, gift bundles, medicine, and other items that they would need for the journey.
The Corps of Discovery departed from Camp Du Bois at 4 p.m. on May 14, 1804. They traveled up the Missouri River for 2 days to St. Charles, Missouri, where Lewis joined them 6 days later. From St. Charles, the expedition followed the Missouri River through what is now Kansas City, Missouri, and Omaha, Nebraska. On August 20th, 1804, Sergeant Charles Floyd died from acute appendicitis. He was the only member of the Corps of Discovery that died during the journey. I think that's pretty crazy. The only one. They went on a 2-year trip,
And it wasn't even from like an attack. It was from...
And I mean, I know. Yeah, what is it? Acute appendicitis? And they had some dangerous encounters with the Native Americans.
Yep, we'll talk about those later.
We will.
Foreshadowing.
We will. He was the only member from the Corps of Discovery that died during the journey. He was buried at the river bluff that was now named after him. During the final week of August, me and Clark reached the edge of the Great Plains, a place abounding with elk, bison, and beavers. The Lewis and Clark expedition established a relationship with 24 Indian nations, without whose help of the expedition would have raised starvation during the harsh winters and would have become hopelessly lost in the vast ranges of the Rocky Mountains.
The Americans and the Lakota Nation, whom the Americans called the Sioux or the Teton-Wan Sioux, had problems with the men, and there was a fear that the two sides might fight. When one of their horses went missing, they suspected the Sioux were responsible. They came close to fighting many times, but both sides backed down, and the expedition continued. Clark in his journal wrote, "They were warlike and among the vilest miscreants of the savage race." In the winter of 1804-05, the party built Fort Mandan near Washburn, North Dakota. After the expedition had set up camp, nearby Indians came to visit them in fair numbers, some staying all night. That's kind of scary. Sleeping with an Indian? Whew, scary. For several days, Lewis and Clark met in council with the Mandan chiefs. Here they met a French-Canadian fur trapper named Toussaint Charbonneau and his young Shoshone wife, Sacagawea.
Good job. Good job.
Thank you.
Good job.
Mr. Back?
How's for you? He said it right.
Yep, you're welcome. Charbonneau, at this time, began to serve as the expedition's translator. The party sighted the Pacific Ocean for the first time on November 7th, 1805. The expedition faced its second bitter wind, camped on the north side of the Columbia River, in a storm-racked area. Lack of food was starting to become transparent. Elk, the party's main food source, had migrated from their usual haunts in the mountains.
On November 24th, 1805, the party voted to move their camp to the south side of the Columbia River. Sacagawea, I said that right, right? Sacagawea, I'm sorry, Mr. Back, I let you down. I'm sorry. Sacagawea and Clark's slave York were both allowed to participate. Oh, that's very cool. That's very cool. They were allowed to. Yep. Were both allowed to participate in the vote. On the south side of the Columbia River, 2 miles upstream, the west side of the Noodle River. Oh gosh, the Noodle River.
Who makes up these names? It's spelled N-E-T-U-L. It's
Maybe
like
we're pronouncing it wrong.
Mule.
Nutel. Nutel. Yeah. We'll go with Nutel. No, we'll go with Noodle.
Yep.
Noodle River, and it is now named Lewis and Clark River.
Named after us.
After us. Because I think that we did a lot of stuff there. Yeah. They constructed Fort Clatsop. There's another weird verb. They did this not for shelter and protection, but they officially established the American presence there. With the American flag flying over the fort during the winter at Fort Clatsop, Lewis committed himself to writing. He filled many pages up with in his journal of valuable knowledge, mostly about the growth of the forests that covered the continent. The health of the men were also starting to become a problem, most of them suffering from colds.
Lewis was forced to remain at Fort Clatsop until April 1st, but he was anxious to move out at the earliest opportunity. They made their way to Camp Chapanunish. Oh my gosh, bro. Who makes these? In Idaho, along the north bank of the Clearwater River, where the members of the expedition collected 45 horses in preparation to cross the Bitterroot Mountains, lying between modern-day Idaho and western Montana. However, the range was still covered in snow, which prevented the expedition from making a crossing. On April 11th, while the corps were waiting for the snow to disappear, Lewis's dog Seaman was stolen by Indians, but luckily, shortly retrieved.
Yes. Me and Seaman were just really good friends. He was always with me. Okay, continue.
Worried that other acts might follow, Lewis warned the chief that any other mistake or mischievous acts would result in instant death. Dang. On July 3rd, before crossing the Continental Divide, the corps split into 2 teams so Lewis could explore the Marinas River. Lewis' group of 4 men met some from the Blackfeet Nation. During the night, the Blackfeet tried to steal their weapons. In the struggle, the soldiers killed 2 Blackfeet men. Lewis, George Dilligrout, and the Field brothers fled over 100 miles in a day before they camped again. Meanwhile, Clark had entered Crow tribe's territory. In the night, half of Clark's forces disappeared, but not a single Crow had been seen. Lewis and Clark stayed separated until they reached Yellowstone and the Missouri River on August 11th. As the groups rejoined, one of Clark's hunters, Pierre
Okay, wait,
Cousiot.
let me read this part. This part. My part. My part.
This dude.
Okay. As the groups rejoined, one of Clark's hunters, Pierre Crusat, mistook me for an elk. Okay, wait.
It's out, bro. It's over. Disappointing, bro.
The problem is there's two different looks between an elk and me. I mean, there's a human being. And I've seen people with a beard. I don't remember Lewis having a beard. So that's another part that was a little bit confusing. Is he ever had a beard? Yeah, that's better. But they're just two different separate things, and to take one of the most important people out in that little moment because he mistook him for an elk, I kind of felt bad for Lewis. Just having that guy be like, "Oh, I'm sorry. I thought you were an elk. I thought you were a hairy animal that had horns. Like, I'm sorry."
Bro, either that guy had bad eyesight or he was butt ugly.
I think it was the bad eyesight because nobody can think I'm ugly. Okay. Anyway. Yeah. Okay. Pierre Crusade mistook Lewis for an elk and fired, injuring him in the thigh. Don't say it.
What?
Okay. Once together, the Corps was able to return quickly back to the Missouri River. They reached St. Louis on September 23rd.
Can I get a hallelujah?
Hallelujah! Woo! Okay. Meriwether Lewis. Me. I died on October 11th, 1809 in Nashville, Tennessee. The rumors were that Lewis was either murdered or shot to death, or he killed himself. So either somebody thought he was an elk,
Again.
or he killed himself because he looked like an elk. Either one works. But the story says that somebody found himself dead in a hotel with 8 bullet holes. So somebody found an elk dead with 8 bullet holes in him. That's how the story goes.
Yep.
But it was recorded that he did try to kill himself on this journey.
Obviously, because he looked like an elk.
Yes. So I'm thinking that it could have been suicide, but what's your say on this, Clark?
That Pierre Crusade came back. He's like, "Look at the bloody elk again."
Yes.
Shot many times.
Okay, so he did try to kill himself on the journey, but someone had persuaded him not to. We're not sure who, but somebody did. William Clark, my friend here, died on September 1st, 1838 in St. Louis. But Clark did not die of any murder or suicide or sickness, but of old age, unlike his lifelong friend, me. Okay.
I love you. Lewis and Clark, with 4 dozen other men, risked their lives for the benefit of our life today. This expedition would have been done later, but if Lewis and Clark had said no, but they did it when they were asked, so they became heroes. No one took that territory. It just helped to find the west of America start up faster. The expedition of the Corps of Discovery to find the United States. Mike.